of course, there's a difference in how you do things, but I mean, is it a big challenge to get things going?
No, because also the web, we are coming from the roll, of course, from the web, and then going to the, as example, to the cutter, and from there on, there we have cut sheet business. Yes, absolutely. All what is processing behind the cutter will be cut sheet, and therefore we have a lot of experience, of course. And also for the new DocuTrim, we are using more or less same tools as we use it in the web business,
Fantastic.
as the perforation knives and cutting knives, etc.
And I mean, you also, when you talk about the inkjet business, actually the DocuTrim was, I think the first time I saw it was when Canon introduced the IX 300 series, and I said to Patrick the other day when we were talking about the event wrongly that I thought it was exclusively for the Canon series, but it's not exclusive for the Canon series. But that is where you started like reintroducing and getting Hunkler back to the cut sheet business, right?
Yes,
We
correct.
started inline versions together, inline cooperation together with Canon. The DocuTrim is also offline available, so it can be used after any printer. And of course, we are also free to connect with other printer partners.
And I take also that when Hunkler decide to invest and innovate within this with this areas, because you either know or have expectations that also the cut sheet finishing market will be interesting in a future perspective, of course. I mean, with all the I mean, everybody knows that there's a tremendous focus on inkjet these days, and I think more and more vendors are doing both web and cut sheet devices, right? So that is also, I think, one of the reasons why this is, of course, interesting to talk about.
Yes, about that point, I will show later on a slide. Yeah, why we got into this sheet finishing business, and what are the advantages of our partners, of our vendors. Yeah, so this is mainly that we have good connections, good partnerships with printer partners, with many of them, and of course we have a worldwide distribution, which of course will also then supply and distribute this product. And many of our customers are running now with roll to roll, with web finishing, and of course many of those customers are now also going into the cut sheet business.
Fantastic. I think that it's time to get started. You have prepared a presentation. I also know that we have, of course, a case study film that you have made with a customer, Swiss customer, which we will also see. And there's a few technical issues for people on LinkedIn. I can see that the stream is not starting. So while you get started with your presentation, I will be listening to what you say, but I will also see if I can solve that technical issue while you are talking about this. So do you want me to bring up your slide now on the screen and then you take it from here?
Yes, please.
I can't wait. So thank you very much, both of you. And you just let me know when to start the film, right? Yeah, okay, great.
Yes, okay, thank you. Okay, so welcome to the presentation of the Hunkler DocuTrim. First of all, I would like to introduce the company in brief. So this year we celebrated our 100-year anniversary. Hunkler is an owner-managed company in the third generation, and we are based in Switzerland, in Wicon. It's in the Midlands, and we are here since 1922. We are a pioneer and the world market leader in the digital production print finishing solutions, and we introduced first machines, first line in 1982. So we have also 40 years experience in the digital print finishing. We have a really strong market position with over 7,000 installations worldwide. So our portfolio is from roll-to-roll productions, the first one here. So it's printed, and then back on the roll we have roll to stack solution, printer, buffer. Then we can do several processes here. We can do folding, merging, cutting, etc. And then stacking at the end. We have here a typical folding line. Roll to fold with dynamic punching and perforation. We have roll to continuous fan folding solutions. We are also flexible which processes we are doing in between printing and fan folding. And then we have also our book solutions, which are also well known on the market. So this is now a picture of DocuTrim. This is the first machine. With this machine, we enter in the new segment of the digital sheet finishing. So here a short update just to show you the potential we see with inkjet systems in the B3, B2 format, and you can also see continuous feed. So when we are here B2 format, you can see what we expect, how many systems, presses will be installed in 23, 24, 25. Then here for cut sheet, you can see there is also enormous growth we expect during the next years, and that's why we developed this DocuTrim to take part of this business in future. So that means the inkjet cut sheet printer installed base is growing fast. The cut sheet printers are getting faster, more versatile, good print quality. Yeah, so we are flexible in the media on what we print. So we can also, of course, work with offset coated stock. This is possible now. Yeah, the possibilities in the past, I think, were not good enough to enter in this market. But now, as we can cover most of the demands of our customer, it's the right time to launch this machine. And we hope that you will join also our Hungary Innovation Days early spring next year, where you will see several of those solutions. Then a big advantage is, of course, that we have good relations to the partners, to the printer partners. Yeah, there are some of them supplying our equipment together with their presses. We have cooperation with all major printer partners, good relations, and of course also the customers. The customer are, many of them are same, of course. We also enter in a new field of customers, but we have many known customers which also invest now in cut sheet solutions. So about the product, the DocuTrim can be used offline with a pile feeder or inline with a printer. These are the two main configurations. When using the DocuTrim offline, it's connected to the sheet feeder PFA52. So customer can process all his sheets from multiple printing systems without connections to it, so it's completely independent from the printer. He can work, of course, process paper from digital and offset presses. With this feeder, of course, the variety of formats and layouts is larger than if it's connected, than when it's connected with a printer, which normally print one main format. Also, the speed offline can be higher, depends on the printer you have, but it's It's faster than the printer in the market at the moment. So this is also advantage, can run the machine at full speed when fed with the PFA 52. The inline solution, we have installation with i300, IX 3200 from Canon. The advantage is the possibility of a high quantity of small production patches. So this can be 10, 20, less or more copies in a batch. It's online, and the reaction to the customer's order is of course quite fast, as the entire system is inline and the products are printed and afterwards trimmed, cut, what else, in one line in the same step. So time to market from the orders from customer is extremely fast. These are the two layouts of the machine. It's about 2.70 m by 5.50 m, and then it depends, of course, of the length of the printer, or if you have the pile feeder, then it's about 3.5 m by 5.5 m. So now we will show a case story from a customer in Switzerland that this customer will explain about why he had chosen the DocuTrim, which product he's running, etc., and also about his experience with our company during the sales and installation phase of the DocuTrim.
Fantastic.
So please, you can now start the video.
I will, 100%.
Wir sind ein mittelständisches Familienunternehmen und feiern, sage und schreibe, dieses Jahr 125 Jahre Jordi AG. Damals, 1897, hat mein Urgroßvater, Urgroßvater, die Firma gegründet und in einem alten Rossstall die erste Druckmaschine reingestellt. Das war der Beginn einer großen Geschichte der Jordi AG, die ich mit meinen 3 Brüdern in der 5. Generation leiten. Wir glauben an Print und verfolgen deshalb einen klaren Printfokus in einer digitalisierten Welt. Wir haben 4 Bereiche. Erstens hochwertige Drucksachen mit Veränderungen und allen Varianten, die man dann noch dazu produzieren kann. Zeitschriften, Mailings und runden das Ganze mit unserer Online-Druckerei prinzessin.ch, die auch als eigener Brand fungiert und uns auch ganz viele Türen öffnet, schweizweit. Wir bedienen NPOs, Agenturen, also kreative Organisationen, kulturelle Organisationen, Verbände, Verlage und KMUs. Zusammengefasst Kunden, die an Print glauben und dessen Wirkung ganz neu entdecken wollen. Wir arbeiten seit 4 Jahren mit Hunkeler zusammen und erleben ein Miteinander, das auf unsere Bedürfnisse eingeht. Die Diskussionen erfolgen lösungsorientiert und entscheidend aus unserer Sicht ist die Problemlösekompetenz von Hunkeler. Die Qualität und Erfahrung im finnischen Bereich hat uns sehr überzeugt und auch als Schweizer Hersteller schätzen wir diese Nähe sehr. Gerade im Mailing-Bereich sind wir auf Qualität und Stabilität der Anlage angewiesen. Und die Integration der Finishingstraße mit unserem Inkjet-Drucksystem erlaubt uns im Format SRA3 beidseitig individualisiert zu drucken, zu schneiden und zu perforieren. Das erlaubt uns beste Inline-Anwendung für Einzahlungsscheine, Gutscheine, Coupons und datengetriebene Kampagnen. Unsere Hauptanforderung war die Stabilität der Anlage und die damit verbundenen Produktionsprozesse. Wir haben auch damit bezweckt, dass wir mehrere Produktionsschritte zusammenlegen konnten und so effizienter werden konnten. Effizienzsteigerung kombiniert mit Stabilität. Genau das haben wir uns vorgestellt. Ja, im Mailing-Bereich können wir so nahezu alle Formen der Individualisierung kombiniert mit Perforation umsetzen und das in einem Arbeitsschritt und auf höchstem Qualitätsniveau. Also individualisiertes Drucken, Perforieren und Schneiden. Und aus unserer Sicht ist das eine Voraussetzung, um Schlagwort Programmatic Printing anzubieten und somit Print hochindividuell und wirkungsvoll den Empfänger in seinem Bedürfnis und Geschmack anzusprechen. Die Zusammenarbeit mit Hunkeler haben wir sehr geschätzt und positiv erlebt. Das Projekt wurde sauber aufgegleist, mit uns koordiniert und schrittweise auch umgesetzt. Insbesondere die Kommunikation in der Projektführung war maßgeblich für den Erfolg des Projektes verantwortlich. Und zum Schluss wurden auch unsere Leute sehr gut im Handling des DocuTrims instruiert und geschult. War spitze.
So we are back. That was a great story. So, but let's talk about that a bit later. I think you have more to show, right?
Yes, please. So I hope you got a good impression out of this video, yeah. And I will now show you more features, functions, and benefits of the DocuTrim.
Fantastic.
We will start here with a short video so that you get a short overview technical wise, and afterwards I will explain the different modules of the DocuTrim. Doesn't work. Oh.
It is running, so maybe you should explain a little bit about what we see, Patrick.
It's a bit fast. But
Okay. It's because you had like several screens.
this is perforating, scoring, and trimming. Here you can see the different layouts of stacking. Then here we do the offset if needed for the stacking, for the jobs. We can build stacks with a height of maximum 230 millimeters. And in the output, we can run 1 up or 2 up. So this was a short overview, and now I will go into the details. We can see here the line. It's built mainly with the pile feeder I already mentioned. Then we are running into the transfer unit. Here is also the operator panel placed with a setup wizard to set the machine up really fast. Then we have two of the so-called dynamic multiprocessor. Here we are doing the perforating, the edge trim, center trim, gutter trim, etc. Then we are running into the sequencer, where then the sheets are led to the left side, and Then we are going into the second dynamic multiprocessor. We do exactly the same here, perforating, edge trim, center cut or gutter cut. Then we have the separator unit, and at the end the stacker with a delivery belt. So here, of course, we are doing the separation. When we have a 2-up output, or we can also do only the separation for a job when we have only a 1-up output. So in this sketch, I can explain you how the DocuTrim works in brief. So we are coming here from the left side with the feeder entering into the machine, and here the first station we are doing the cutting. We can see it here with the scissors. We are doing the cutting in the length direction, and we are doing the perforation. Then the paper is led around the corner 90 degrees. We are entering in the second dynamic multiprocessor. Then we are doing here edge trim, gutter cut, edge trim, and these perforations here. Interesting is the perforation it's only a sequence, it's not through the whole page. We can perforate dynamic in both directions. Then here at the end you see the output. We can do, of course, offset of the jobs when stacking. Then on the next page, you see more the technical data. We can run with a max speed of 11,500 beats per hour. This depends, of course, on the sheet side, also on the format, how we run it through the DocuTrim. Paper height is 60 to 250 grams per square meter. Stack height is maximum 230 millimeter, and edge trim we can do 6 to 40 millimeters. The gutter cut, we have options of 6, 8, 10, 12 millimeters. These are always the same knives, so you can fast switch from 6, 8, 10, or 12 millimeter. Then the sheet format, the input size, the minimum size is 280 by 152. The max size is 520 by 520 millimeters. The output size depends if you're running 1-up or 2-up. 2-up it's 148 by 105, and 1-up it's 148 by 148. The maximum output is 520 by 520. So you can see here the flexibility when you are running offline is of course much larger than when you are running inline with a printer. But also the demands of course are different of customers running inline or offline. So about the sheet feeder, this runs from formats from 530 to 720. This format range is larger than we can run through the DocuTrim. This is of course not specially developed, this element for the DocuTrim, that's why. This feeder can be fed with trolleys, so we can feed in trolleys. The trolleys, some printers print and stack directly on those trolleys. Then you can just insert a new trolley and do not have to move the paper stack manually from another trolley or from a table into the machine. This element is of course completely integrated within the DocuTrim, within the control system, completely integrated into the process. The transfer unit connects the flat pile feeder with the printer. Also it contains the interface, the graphical user interface, the 22-inch touchscreen, and optionally we can have cameras or code readers in the DocuTrim. So the code readers are optionally the cameras. I will explain later why they can be used. So we are doing the setup of the entire line of this touchscreen. It's a setup assistant. You will be asked everything what is important to set up the machine. And for manual adjustments, you get out exactly the value on which axis, which value you have to set up manually. So the two core elements of the DocuTrim are the dynamic multiprocessors. There is a DIN feed and aligning section. Then we can do 6 perforations in the viz. And we can do edge trim, gutter cut, and center cut of the sheet. In the first dynamic multiprocessor, we can have two. We can run 3-up production. That means we have 2 center cuts, and if needed, 2 edge trims. And of course, we can do also perforations, all the 6 perforation, while running 3-up, or 2-up, or 1-up. So then really unique on our machine is that we cut and do the perforation always in longitudinal direction. This is a benefit that we do not have the so-called perforation comps, or how they are called, so we can perforate completely dynamic. We can switch them on and off one or several times on one sheet which is processed. We can see here there is the dynamic multiprocessor 1, and the second one we can do here in longitudinal direction, the perforation, and we lead it around the corner, and again we can do also here in the running direction of the paper, the perforating. The big advantage is that this can be done this can be perforated dynamically in both direction, this direction, and then also after the corner into this direction. The knives and the perforation units, we use them also in our so-called Gen 8 modules. So we have a lot of experience, long time of experience in perforating and trimming on the machine. So this helps, of course, and is a huge advantage when we enter in this new market. So this is after the first DMP, we have the sequencer. This is to lead in a 90-degree, to lead the paper 90 degrees into the second dynamic multiprocessor. It's the interface to connect these two modules. In planning is also that we can connect after this first multiprocessor. I'm going back one slide, that we can run straight through in another in another equipment, for example, a booklet maker, etc. What else? So it's planned to develop different interfaces, and this will be done, of course, simultaneous with a project. When we have a demand from a customer for certain interfaces, then we will discuss it together and define what we can do, in which time frame we can develop such interfaces. Then after the dynamic multiprocessor, we are running into the separator. Here we do the alignment and the offset. Offset when we need the job separation within the stack, or when we are processing two. In the stacker, we can stack with a height up to 230 millimeters. We can run one up or two up. And really important is the high stack quality. For further steps, as for example, perfect binding, etc., it's important that the quality of the stack is really accurate. So the delivery belt has a length of 1.2 meters. It's a capacity of 6 A4 stacks. So that means about 30,800 sheets in two-up production with short edge feed mode. Of course, most of the customer will not run that much copies in one single job. Most of the customer, of course, are running mid or smaller batches, but this is just to show the capability also of this delivery belt of the stacker. So then some details about the applications. Here is important to understand the difference between long edge feed and short edge feed productions. So long edge feed, when this is the paper flow direction, there is the long edge feed in front, and here we run with short edge feed. This allows us different cutting and of course perforating patterns. There is a limitation when you're running through the machine because the paper needs to be guided, aligned through the machine, and there we have to consider a ratio, a sheet size ratio from 1 to 1 to 1 to 2. That means the width can never be longer than twice the height of the paper. According to this rule, we need to run the sheets long edge feed through the machine or short edge feed through the machine. So here are some examples. We start here with an SR-A4, and we are doing just trimming. This is here the input direction. We are doing in the first dynamic multiprocessor, we cut away in lengthwise these edges, and then in the second one, these edges on this side, and the result is a trimmed 4-edge trimmed A4. We can run this short edge feed through the machine or long edge feed through the machine. Now, this is what I explained with the side ratio. If we would cut here this A4 in the middle, then we would not have anymore the ratio from the side lengths of 1 to 2. That means if I feed the paper long edge feed here, we have no problem when I trim it here in the middle. Then we still have on both sheets, then after trimming, the side ratio of 1 to 2, and we can lead and align the sheets properly in the DocuTrim. This is the same here for SRA3, also with the trim of all edges. We can run in short edge feed or long edge feed. And here we are running with a A4 and we are cutting it into 2A4 into 2A5 sheets. So the input here is also short edge feed inside. Then we are trimming here the edges on two sides. Then in the dynamic multiprocessor 2, we are cutting the edges and do also the center trim, in this case a gutter cut, and we get out 2 stacks A5. On this side, we are doing the center trim or the gutter cut in the first dynamic multiprocessor, and you get out then 1 stack of A5s. So here you have an output of a 2-up, of a 1-up. This depends, of course, also how you enter in the machine, short edge feed or long edge feed. According to this, you get then the output 2-up or 1-up. Here we added also the perforating. So the treatment of the sheet is the same concerning edge trim and gutter cut. And here we add perforations. Here in the first dynamic multiprocessor, we perforate completely the whole length. In the second multiprocessor, we perforate just here a small sequence. And in the second example, you can see that also in the input in the length direction, we are perforating only a short sequence. And then in the second dynamic multiprocessor, we are doing a perforating over the entire page. So we are completely free concerning the pattern of perforating on all these sheets and in both directions. So this is an example how we can cut A4 sheets into 4 A5 sheets. We get here also, the output is also a 2-up. And here an example, it's the same if we cut a B4 into 4 A6 sheets. So this was more or less the possibilities of the DocuTrim. Of course, if you have questions, if you're interested in a DocuTrim, then best is if you contact us, if you let us know exactly what you want to do, what is your input, what is your output, because in between this rough description, there are of course many possibilities of running 2-up, 3-up, perforating, edge trim, etc. And of course, development is not standing still. So we are working on, of course, always we do improvements, and we will also add some other modules to the DocuTrim. One of those is in the infeed of the DocuTrim to add a cross cutter, so that we are able then to run also B2 productions. Because with B2, it's also the side ratio a big issue, and that's why we do then with the cross cutter one or several cross cuts before we lead then the cut pages into the DocuTrim to get here as many possibilities of cutting, stacking, or perforating patterns as we want to have. Then we are also working on interfaces for third-party supplier equipments as booklet makers, etc. And also on a feeder with a sheet overpass so that we can run combined inline or offline productions. So as a short summary of our DocuTrim, this line is mainly for mailing products, transaction documents, and of course, more and more also for the graphic to run graphic art products on it. The main functionality at the moment is cutting, that means edge trim, center cuts, chip out, dynamic perforations and stacking. And normally, of course, you run smaller or medium productions runs, but of course, it is made for 2 or 3 shift operation where you can of course also run large batches with this machine. So there are absolutely no quality issues when the machine is running 24 hours. So with this equipment, you can increase your efficiency in the cut sheet processing. You have a really short job cycle time, and you can react faster to the orders of your customers. The machine is individually expandable. Of course, always is best if you keep it right from the beginning as you need to. But if later on you want to add a booklet maker or other interfaces, then of course this will be possible also. And last but not least, of course, is the variety of formats you can run through the machine. It's of course higher when you're running offline. Inline, a bit limited to the printer, but as I explained, we are working on a bypass in the pile feeder so that the machine can be connected to a printer inline, but it's also possible to feed it offline. So now I hope you got a good impression of our DocuTrim, and if you have some questions, then please feel free to ask them now.
I mean, Patrick, thank you very much. I think it's almost impossible to have questions when you have been so thoroughly going through the machine, right? So, but I have a few questions anyway, because I mean, I appreciate that you can have it both as an online and offline solution. Can you hear me?
Yes, sorry, I've just heard that the picture was frozen.
Okay, I can see you. So
it's no problem. Okay, good. No, then it's
all green lights here. So let's hope it's
okay.
At least it is recording it right. Yeah, I promise you.
Good. Okay, thank you.
No, I was just thinking that the companies that choose to have an inline solution for DocuTrim, is that printing companies that have like a very specific need for a large volume of trimmed products? Or because I'm asking because when I saw your presentation, I was thinking that, okay, this is I mean, everybody needs to have a trimmed product, of course, but if you have a machine that is inline with this, it seems a little bit less easy for the printer to change over. If you have, let's say that you have a booklet maker that has already 3-knife integrated into it. I mean, so in what situation will you choose to have a DocuTrim inline in your mind?
So inline, of course, also is mainly used by customer with only a few copies per job.
Okay.
Yeah, the digital printer inline, most is of course printed on demand. Yeah, few copies only, and throughput time from, I don't know, few hours, yeah, to get the end product on a table. And yeah.
So that is a typical situation, because I was thinking that when you for example said about transactional print, it makes sense, because unless you have something where you really have like a full-blown integrated solution for enveloping and things like that directly to your line, it makes sense to have them in trimmed products like the DocuTrim is supporting. When you write graphic art, is it mainly for flyers, or can it also, is it so precise that you can use it for collating book blocks if you just have very short print runs of book blocks as well?
Yes, of course. We can collate book blocks, but we can also trim cards.
Yeah, because of the high grammage.
Graphical arts.
Yeah,
of the grammage. So it can be used really versatile for book blocks, for, I don't know, calendars, and cards.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, that's a
yeah,
lot of
it's really
applications,
wide
right?
area, and,
Yeah.
and that's why we have the two possibilities of offline,
Mm-hmm.
as we have seen with the customer Jordi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he does a lot of different jobs, completely different jobs on this machine. And then for larger customer, which mainly use it inline connected with a printer, and then they are doing more or less similar jobs, but with other sizes, other formats, other trims, etc.
And as you said when we started this, or I actually asked you, it was like you have experience from cut sheet before. Is it something that you believe you will develop more into also in the future?
Yes, of course. Yeah, as we have seen the growth of the printers, yeah, during the next year, we expect there a really large business field in the future.
Must be nice working in Hunkler and have great expectations for the future, right?
Yes, yeah, yeah. We need always to work on it and align our development schedule. And of course, we are looking forward to discussion with customers, because they help us also to develop the segments, to do the right things in the right time.
You mentioned also a few times, I can't remember, we call it the Generation 8, or because I mean, basically, if you look at Hunkler, it has like, you have built like different generations of equipment. So can you very briefly talk about what is the 8th generation and what is the main difference from previous generations?
Good. This is mainly is a complete new generation of all modules which can be connected to each other. And of course, the main difference there is always the platform which changed, the electronical platform, so that it cannot be combined in any cases with the prior
Okay,
generations.
so that is like an entirely new platform. Like when you, for example, see HP just announced a new platform, that is their foundation for a long time. So this is your generations for
Yes.
platforms for future. Okay.
This is a new generation, a foundation for the future. Some elements we can connect from older generations, some not. But of course, this is mainly a platform, the new platform with state-of-the-art technology, state-of-the-art electronics, software, etc.
When you, as Hunkler, meet customers, what do you think is the main demand for a modern print service provider today? I mean, is it speed, or is it quality, of course, or a combination, or is it also, I mean, you know, a lot of people talk about IoT and integration and workflow automation. Where do you see the biggest challenges for PSPs when it comes to the binding side of it, or the paper processing side?
I think at the moment it's all about automation of the line. Customer require fully automated equipment, of course, with all the interface to their equipment, to the printer, to the pre-press, to the post-press, to everything. But I think mainly it's more than speed, is the really fast setup time and really good quality of the output.
Also, when
And
you
then the
say,
speed.
sorry, yeah,
Yep.
sorry, continue.
Please.
No, you do.
I know I've nothing to add to this at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I was yeah, sorry. It's this sometimes with the delays, but I was just thinking because
Yeah.
the automation part of it. Because I mean, it seems that also when Hunkler has a background in the transactional market, the integration to the printers is already there. Is it integration to other backend systems like MIS systems and other binding equipment? Is that what you talk about, integration? I mean, because Hunkler has always been focusing on a very specific part of the finishing part, right?
Yes, of course. It's often required that we deliver some information out of our equipment, which can be implemented then by MIS systems of the customers. They normally have a leading system, and we do have to adapt that we can send all the data, the informations they want to have in this system. Sometimes it's about quality. They want to know if the sheet which enters leaves our machine. if it's ejected to make a reprint immediately, etc. These are all these functions where most of customers are asking for. And of course, there is a large range of zero integration up to fully integrated, depending on customers' needs and customer size.
Fantastic. Patrick, and also to Dominic, who just left, I just want to say thank you for your time here with Learn with us here at Inkish. I apologize for this, the tiny little issues that I was not focusing 100% in the beginning, but that is technology steals everything away from us, right? So I look forward to see you guys in Lucerne for the Hunkler Innovation Days, and to shake hands and to see the equipment running and all those things. And I also want to appreciate and thank you very much for being part of the finishing line. So I wish you a very good day, Patrick, and thank you very much.
Thanks a lot for your presentation. And Dominic is now here. You can see
Hey.
I asked before if the image was frozen because on his computer it wasn't running at Innovation Days.
Bye, Dominic. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Yeah, this is Morten again. This time it's a few minutes before 11, and we are going to very shortly to see some really interesting things from Japan. Yesterday I got a message that it might be cancelled because there's a huge typhoon entering into the Japanese land countryside, and but fortunately Taketsuko-san and Brian, who are doing this demo in a second, called me this or wrote to me this morning that everything was it was not there yet, and they wanted to do this even, I think even it's a holiday in Japan today. So now I am just waiting for these nice gentlemen to join. We have tested this technology this morning, so hopefully it works fine. But I will just play the little intro jingle and see if Taketsuko-san and Brian soon will be with us here on Learn With Us. Always the amazing thing when everything is live, but it has a little stressful thing to it, which is sometimes not so bad. So sit tight, it will very soon be Horizon's tour here on Inkish. So we are now live, and we have, let's see, we have also Brian here. Guys, you are on. Do you want it to be the screen from the both of you? So can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you well.
Okay, so do you want this camera view here, Taketsuka-san?
Yes, please.
Okay, that's great.
My camera view is fine. Yeah.
Okay, so you want to be in the screen as well?
Yeah, in the beginning, maybe the three of us maybe in the camera
Okay.
to start with, you know.
Super.
Yep.
I will just do this like this, and then we have. I don't know even how I get myself in here. So now I got here. So guys, Japan, and
I
as
can
I
go
just
over
said
this
when
way.
I was waiting for you, you say that a big typhoon is expected to hit Japan very shortly.
Yeah, very shortly now.
But you're used to it in Japan, right?
Yeah, it's a season 4, so we have to expect it.
And am I right that you are also having a day off today? So you join us just because of the Learn With Us session here?
Yes, day off. This is the elder day, but we always, you know, appreciate your effort, so we came in here.
I am pleased about it. I actually spoke to your colleagues in Germany because I thought they could take over for you. But it's always good to have, because I mean, every time I talk to Horizon in Japan, it's like talking to the ones that make things happen, because you develop and produce the machine just north of Kyoto, right? So before we get to see what you have planned, how is life, how is business for Horizon these days?
You know, we are becoming back, you know, normal after the COVID situation. Japan, as you know, it's a conservative country, so still people are wearing a mask and so on, but the life itself came back. You know, all the places are getting crowded, you know, people are, you know, going out, and then we have exhibition in Japan, and then the different industry, but the people are gathering. So it's a good sign for it. Yeah.
And I will soon see you, because we are going to IGAS to meet you, for example, right? It will be quite exciting.
Yes, we are pretty excited to have you. Still under restrictions, so we don't expect many foreigners, but thanks to your, you know, help, we can, you know, spread the IGAS information over to, you know, global customers. So that's exciting.
Yeah. How difficult will it be for me to talk to people? Will everybody be able to speak English, or is it? Should I practice my Japanese before going?
Yeah, maybe you can practice Japanese like a Brian. You know, he's American, but he speaks Japanese very well.
Is he as good as Colin, or are you catching up, Brian?
And it's the same level.
Oh, that's good. I tell you, I was so amazed at the Think Smart factory, because Colin, he was just transforming fluently between English and Japanese. It's just amazing when people can do these things, right? So that's great.
Yeah.
So guys, what do you have in plan for us today?
So today our plan is to, you know, tell you how the digital printing technology is improving, and then how the finishing technology is affected by that. You know, we are always, you know, trying to make the system automated, and then trying to move to the smart factory concept. And recently, I started to travel to Europe and the US, and then hearing the customer, they always says, you know, the quality for the digital printing is improving dramatically. So they used to, you know, use offset for quality work, and then maybe the short run or even lower quality for digital. But they say, depending on efficiency or quantity, they use digital or offset in the same level. So that's actually amazing for me. So based on that story, and today we're gonna, you know, do the presentation. You know, starting off with maybe a brief PowerPoint, and then because it is live, so we want to show you how the machine is running on live. So myself is a PowerPoint guy, and then Brian.
He's the technical
Brian
guy.
is the. Brian will be showing and then demonstrating on the machine.
Fantastic. Before I will let you demonstrate, I can tell you that talking about customers, as you know, we did a film for your German colleagues in Saxoprint just a few weeks ago, and it is totally aligned with what you're saying about the quality job and automation level. And the film from Saxoprint we will actually release today, so people that are interested in seeing how Horizon is integrating robots into making it almost entirely lights out production of your BQ480 and your HT1000V trimmer thing. I mean, it's just fantastic to see, and I'm sure that a lot of people will really get excited to see how printing companies are using your technology in real life, right? So, let's dig into it. So, can you share your screen, or will Brian handle that from your side?
Yep. So I will share my screen from here.
It should
Just one
pop
moment.
up here in a second.
Yep. And
here we go. So I will put that screen up with you and in a little thumbnail, and then basically I will just sit tight and listen to you. So I hopefully have some qualified questions afterwards. Okay.
Yep.
So take it away, Taketsugu-san.
Yep. So let me start. So can you see my screen in front of you?
We see your screen, yes.
So the theme of our live presentation today is a print transformation. How evolving digital print technology is changing commercial print. So as I mentioned earlier, digital technology is pretty much higher level right now. So how that is affecting to the printing industry, including finishing business. So let me start my presentation. So this is actually printing method selection in the past. So as you can see in the digital section, it's a lower level, quantity low and quality lower. And an offset was taking quality higher and quantity higher. So in case all the quality required job, client A has the 10,000 job, and client B has a 2,000 job, and client C has a 200 jobs. But because all quality requires, so customer have to put on offset printing. So for the 10,000 job, it's a good number of run lengths, so customer is happy, it's profitable. And client B job is a 2,000 job, so it's okay, but if there is the efficient way, they want to print on the digital instead of offset. And client C is 200. It's actually pretty low quantity, but it still requires for the high quality and necessary to print on the offset press. So profitability is pretty much low. So this is kind of offset printing production. And there are many touch points and many processes involved. So benefit is high production and speed and quality requires. But drawback is high initial costs like overhead and labors. And also many processes that could cause mistake as well. So it want to be avoided. But as I said, digital print technology is rapidly, going higher and higher. So nowadays, we can do the change. So as I mentioned, it's the same job and same client job and quantity, and all quality requires. So client A, still 10,000 is happy, but client B, it can be printed on digital or offset, depending on availability or efficiency. So customer can choose either offset or digital. And client C, only 200 jobs. So customer wanted to print in a digital to be more profitable, but in the past, because of the quality, they can't do it. But now, it's possible to print on a digital, so customer can be profitable. So this says, depending on the quantity, it is able to divert offset or digital, and customer can choose efficient solution depending on the quantity and quality requirements. So today, on the live demonstration, we are going to focus on die cutting process. So just to give you an idea, in the past, for the die cutting process, there are many processes involved to do die cutting. It needs to be printed, and it to be transported, and then cut and separate and stack, and it have to count and inspect and packaging. So it was suitable for long-run jobs or many applications. But for the short run, it was not really efficient. But now, those all processes are combined together, integrated together, so it can be few touch points and then able to run short runs and high mix jobs. So it was quite efficient way of running this system. So coming up next, we want to, live on a demonstration. Today, we are going to demonstrate our die cutting system together with the Konica Minolta press. So please pay attention to live demonstration. Okay. So I will be going back to the Brian's location to be a cameraman. So just a moment.
All right, so thank you.
Good to see you, Brian. Yeah, you're there.
Take-San.
You're there. No
Okay.
worries. Just want to say that you are on, so
All right, so Take explained the how digital processes have changed. Digital printing, the technology has advanced. So I'm going to explain one of our solutions that that take advantages of this digital technology. So there you go. Taketsugu-san is joining us as the cameraman. So as Taketsugu-san said, we have our rotary die cutting system, the RD4055DM, in line with digital press, Konica Minolta Akira C14000, I believe. And it's hooked up in line with our rotary die cutting system, the RD4055DM. And it utilizes this thin sheet metal that has a die cut onto it. And there's two rotating magnetic cylinders that we use to cut the sheet that goes through it. So we can go ahead and start the system. And as I mentioned before, it's all in line, so I'm going to switch the camera real quick. So there we go. Our operator, Fujimoto-san, just pressed the button, and we already have sheets being printed. So the benefits of working with finishing devices in line is that you can have everything automated. You can go from printing all the way to finished applications in one pass. So here we go. We have the sheets already being printed, and they're coming out to our universal buffering module, the SBM100. So you can have some problems with inline solutions in the way that if one device stops, the upstream device or the downstream device, then the other side will have to stop as well. But with this buffering module, we're able to get a stack of up to 50 millimeters of buffered within this device. So even if one device stops, the upstream device or downstream device stops, the other device is still able to continue running while the operator is working to take care of the problem. As you can see, we have a nice buffering. We already have a nice file buffering in here of sheets. So another one that you can get in with the inline solutions is you have a really nice digital press, and
So here we are. Thank you for a fantastic demo. I mean, guys, I can't help think about every time I see something from Horizon, it seems that you get one step further about the smart factory, not just as a concept, because I can see closer and closer.
Yeah, and I think it's maybe a few years later, maybe we want to achieve, all the lights shut down, and then just the printing press print, and then arm, moves around, and then they finish everything with no human intervention. That's our dream, and we want to make it happen.
And in opinion, is that because I mean Japanese and people have always been very, when you go to Electric City in Tokyo, you see things that you don't see anywhere else, right? Thinking is the when you do, is it driven by market? Or are you also trying to drive the market?
Yeah, we want to try to drive the market. Fortunately, we are in a good position as a finishing manufacturer because, all the technology is coming from printing press, right? But the printing press, they are competing each other. So sometimes it's difficult to communicate, but we are the finishing manufacturer, and then we can collaborate with everybody. And then we are hoping we can initiate or we can drive everybody into smart factory direction, and then we want to put that effort. So Think Smart Factory event is one example, and then every year doing a Horizon Smart Factory and such. And next IGAS as well, we're going to collaborate with the 12 market leading vendors and have the integration and also the workflows and then so on. So it will be an interesting event.
And just for the European audience as well, I just want to say that next week we have the Finishing First event in Quickborn in Germany, which is also both with Horizon, of course, but also some of your partners. You actually mentioned something I like a lot, and that is where the binding equipment is not only binding the paper, but it's also binding the vendors together, right? Because you cannot have a printing machine without the binding equipment. And since there are so many vendors on both the printing side and on the binding side, it is important that you can interconnect with each other. Also, since even though you're competitors at the same time, right?
True.
Is that sometimes difficult? I mean, I think that binding. I mean, of course, you have a close relationship with many of the other OEMs already, but is it sometimes do you wish sometimes? Oh, I wish we could do it our own way.
We wish we could do everything, but we have limited resources and time, so we want to collaborate together with them. In this industry, we want to dominate the market, but the competitor is also important because without a competitor, we cannot grow. So we do compete each other, but we collaborate each other. So I think that's the important things.
And that is why, I mean, for example, when you talk about the IGAS, and for those who don't know what IGAS is, that is like the #1 trade show in Japan taking place from the 23rd of November to the 28th of November, right? And it's I think it's a big show. It's more typically like 100,000 people coming there, 60 to 100,000 people, right?
Yeah, in the past, it was treated like more like an international show,
Okay.
and then we could have maybe 100,000, 200,000 people. But the recent years, it's shrinked a little bit, so maybe 50,000.
Okay, but still a big show,
maybe
right?
50,000 to 100,000. Yeah. Well,
And basically, when you go to a trade show like this, as you say, you have actually before the COVID, there was, and also just after the first year, you did this Think Smart Factory concept, where you invite partners to show the AGVs, to show how robots can work, to see how print and finishing works together. But at the ICAST show, you actually do a kind of a smaller. You gather a lot of your colleagues to basically have a smart factory event on the show floor, right?
Yes. So it's IGAS is actually almost like a smart factory event. In our booth, we have a printing press, and then the third-party devices, we do integrate each other and showing the solutions instead of showing just our solution. We show a total solution from start to finish. And then actually, interesting thing though, we're going to connect the booth with the printing press manufacturer, and an AGV will be moving across the aisle to transport the printing material to our finishing devices.
Of course, there's no need for having a guy doing that, right? Taki, I can't help think about, because one of the things that is a very visual result of the commitment from Horizon is that you are standing in your demo center and you have so much equipment there, and you can show so many end-to-end solutions. I think also that you have been extremely good at doing virtual events and video conferences, both for me but also for customers, things like that. Is that part of the new reality, that we have to see demos of equipment like this?
Yeah, I think it's I think the hybrid way is important. Of course, customer want to see the machine in front of them, but there are many processes for purchasing, right? At the initial point, this kind of virtual, that's actually more efficient. Instead of traveling 1,000 miles from their location and just to see, to determine. But in an initial process, they can see virtually, and we can show detail. And if they like it, they can come in over and see and touch the machine. That's, I think, it's a new way and an efficient way.
But you are so good at it, so you may have a lot of people coming in to see your real world products, right? Yeah. That's great. When we talk about, for example, the ICE and the workflow automation and all these things, that also the IoT thing that is part of the ICE, when I asked before whether it is market demanded or you drive the market, do customers understand the potential of what you're offering? I mean, when you see a robot arm taking off, I mean, this is something that can, of course, either support or eliminate workforce, but it can also be something where you can, the health issues of heavy lifting, and do the customers see the potentials in all the things you're doing?
Yeah, customers see the potential of all doing it, because after the pandemic or during the pandemic, it's becoming more and more difficult to hiring higher skilled operator. And then the labor costs are getting higher and higher. So some customers are realizing now, I think it's the investing machine probably more efficient than keeping a traditional way and then they keep hiring people. So I think it's in a workflow, robotic arm, AGV, automation, those type of thing is a future direction. And then because of the supply chain issue, right, before they are rely on lower or cheaper labor countries, but they are not able to get the products out from their country because of the supply chain issue. So they are bringing the job back to their own country to produce again. But because developed country, higher labor cost, so they have to automate and then invest for the machine to maintain the product more competitive price.
And that takes me a little bit back to the demo that Brian did, because basically you see a printing machine, and then you have a line of modules that do different jobs, from the gathering station to the rotary cutter to everything basically. Is this? Are these technologies used today, or is it so new that it's still just on the beginning?
It's actually, we started this project 2 years ago, and then some of the customer actually using it. It's domestically in Japan, and that customer is focusing on business cards.
Oh,
But
so-
the due to the pandemic, business card itself is becoming shorter run, right?
you just
But
need
the
one, right?
Business card, yeah, and business card format is the same mostly.
Yeah.
So running rotary die cutting integrated with the printing press, that's more efficient than having the offline process, and then people are cutting by themselves and then packaging by themselves and so on. So.
And Brian, maybe you can add to this, because if you look at the machine and look how it seems to be to operate it, it seems pretty easy.
Yes, I mean, that's one of the specialties of our products, where they're trying to design to be really easy to use, so that you can have a new employee, someone who's not as skilled, because skilled workers are getting harder and harder to find these days, skilled operators. So our designers and us ourselves, we're trying to create machines that can essentially be used by anyone within a day or a couple hours of training.
Super great. So that basically means that the smart factory is not just about lights out production, but also to help PSPs when they can't employ the right people. So it's a mix of a lot of different things going on in the same place. When you, I mean, you showed some of the products that you're doing on the line that you're just doing there. It also looked like that you have like some kind of packaging products. Is this like also Horizon's ability to offer, let's say, new types of applications to your customers?
Yes, true. We want to offer end-to-end solution. So we collaborate with the third-party manufacturer, but we're going to integrate it, and then want to offer packaging equipment as well. Maybe want to connect with the sorting equipment, or maybe in the future connect to the delivery system. So maybe starting print, and then maybe finishing and packaging, and then delivery, all integrated. That is, I think, it's a right way to go, we think.
And Tage, one thing is that when you and people from manufacturers say, maybe I love it because that is the way we're going, right? Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
it's not
And
a
then
maybe, it will be the sooner or later. Right? Fantastic. Guys, anything you want to add to this learning experience? I think it's been wonderful, and we're a little bit ahead of time, but that doesn't matter. I know it's, as you said, it's a holiday. You need to get home to your families, and we will see each other soon. Both at Printing United maybe, and also at IGAS, right? There will be a lot of opportunities. Yes. Yeah. So
both Brian and myself will be the Printing United. So we will see you next month.
Fantastic. I look forward to that. Guys, thank you very much for your time and your always support of what we do. And when we finish with the webinar today, we will cut it into more digestible sizes, and then we publish them on Enki so we can have more people viewing it, of course, right? So thank you very much, and have a wonderful
Thank you very much.
evening, right? It's soon evening there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
This is Morten from Inkish. We are in the middle of our Learn With Us, the finishing line webinar here, or live broadcast. And we were a little bit ahead of time when it came to the fantastic people from Japan who showed us equipment in work, so to speak. So there is a short break now for about 10 minutes or so. I will make myself a cup of coffee, and then we will have Tech Now coming in here at around noon. So look forward to see Scott. I will just let the little jingle continue running. So just so you know, there's nothing wrong. It's just a little bit ahead of time. So see you in a little moment. This is Morten, as you can see. We are waiting for Scott Peterson from TechNow in the US. I know it's really early for him, so but he wrote me at 6 o'clock European time this morning, so I hope he's up and fresh. Or, I mean, otherwise it's always interesting to do live things. And I will be very honest with you, because normally when we do these types of event, I am normally a little bit better of informing people. But we didn't plan to go to Label Expo last week, but so we did, and I came home Friday and jet lagged. So let us put it that way here. So we will of course give Scott a few more moments to see if he has time to arrive. Otherwise, I'm sure we will fit him in. And by the way, just so you know, tomorrow we continue the Learn With Us finishing line. So we have, for example, tomorrow we have an interesting program. Is Robert from TechNow is talking about the web offset finishing solutions tomorrow, as well as Hunkler. And we also have Møller Martini coming in tomorrow. And it's I think it's quite interesting to see how finishing, and if you just think, oh, Scott is coming in, so I will just take him in here for a second. Yeah. Hello, my friend.
Pulling out my headphones here.
Hey, Scott. I'm sorry to take you out of the bed this early in the morning.
It is very early in the morning here, but I'm happy to be here. Happy to start off my week with you, Morten.
Oh, I'm more happy. But take on your headphones, because there's a little bit of an echo, so that might be easier for me at least.
I'm sorry, I missed that, Morten. Put it on my headphones.
I just said take on your headphones, because there was a little bit of an echo.
Yeah.
Before we get started, Scott, I must congratulate you, because we worked together on the European side with your colleagues here, and you worked together with our friends from What They Think on the Spring Forward event. It must have been amazing to go out and visit customers. I know you do that all the time, but I mean, to put that on camera and show some of the applications that is done using TechNow equipment. How was it for you?
Yeah, it was great, Morten. I really enjoyed it. It was, I actually don't get out to customers enough, so it was a great excuse to go out and see four customers, on the leading edge of our equipment, who are doing exciting things and interesting things, both with our equipment and, of course, with the latest in digital presses. So a lot of fun.
I can tell you one of the things I said to Mauricio was that when I had the pleasure of doing your European side and met 4 of your colleagues in Europe, and I think it's amazing to see, because the people from TechNow, you know so much about the equipment, and you're so dedicated to your solutions. So it's always a pleasure of working with you, because it's not just like, I'm not saying that anybody is superficial and doesn't know anything, but it's just like, there's gradients of how much you know, and you guys, a lot.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I think we need to get a life, Morten. I don't know. When I'm thinking about feeding and finishing on my weekend, I think there's a problem there, possibly.
Oh yeah, but it's that is what drives us, right? It's a passion for what we do. Yeah, I think you can find industries where you can make more money if that was the only driver, right?
Right.
That's
probably true.
Yeah. So Scott, if you take it just before we go and talk about products and your solutions. How is the market in the US? You have a backlog from the COVID, or are you having difficulties because of the inflations? I mean, what balance is it?
Well, certainly, inflation is causing problems, and supply chain issues are causing some problems, but we're doing okay. Certainly from the supply standpoint. We're getting parts in. We're able to ship. We've been able to take advantages of frankly doing pretty well on the supply side to grab some opportunities we might not have otherwise had. So that's been great, and demand has been very strong. We're seeing a lot of demand out there. A lot of customers, kind of catching up, I guess, after COVID and doing things that maybe they'd have done a year ago, if not for COVID, and all of a sudden we're getting a high demand for business now. So very exciting.
And I can't help think about that when you and I met the first time was also, I think it was in the Spring Forward event last year, and that was just in the tail of the introduction of the Revolution 50 series, right? So I take that also it's nice to get out with such leap forward in technology as I understand the Revolution 50 series. Can you tell us a little bit in general terms what is the Revolution 50 relating to what you did before?
Yeah, absolutely. So Revolution 50 is our new cut stack family that we came out with. Or actually, I shouldn't narrow it that much. It has been our new cut stack. We're kind of expanding the line to other items. But really where we started was with the new cut stack series, which was really kind of a recognition that the industry was the printing technology was really evolving, making new applications possible. Broadening the scope of what they could do in a graphic arts setting. So with that kind of demand for using, coated papers, more challenging, heavyweight papers, lightweight papers, all of that, of course, places demand on finishing. And, of course, higher speeds, with these latest presses coming out with higher and higher speeds, it really became apparent to us, some time ago that we needed to move on, that our cut stack line just wasn't good enough to serve the demands of the most demanding customers, the most demanding applications. So that's what Revolution 50 is about, is being able to handle high speeds, demanding papers, really to operate in a demanding graphic arts, some of the demanding direct mail applications that are coming across these days. That's what Revolution 50 is about.
And I can't help think about, because if you look at as you mentioned, the OEM partners on the printing side, I don't know how you see it, but I have been preaching for a long time that finally it seems that inkjet is on a speed and a quality and total cost of ownership and operational cost where it is really starting to become an alternative to at least some offset presses for some kind of applications.
Yeah.
And I take that must also require a lot of changes in the binding side, because now it's not just cut sheets, as you mentioned. It is, as you know, we visited Rotomail in Italy, filming the Libre 800, where you make really high class book binding out of two rolls of paper, basically, right? Is that also a demand that you see starting in the US?
We are, I think so. Certainly, you get more and more publishers moving to a digital environment out of offset, and the demand is high on book applications and being able to handle that kind of thing. We're really hoping to expand more. What you saw at Rotomail was our Libre 800 line, which is a really cool. If
high volume
sometimes watching our equipment can be like watching grass grow, right? Yeah. But to be honest, but with Libre 800, it's a fun system to watch, just to see those books being made and the system sort of grabbing a book block and perfect binding it, etc. So Rotomail is a cool customer setting, and we're looking forward to kind of expanding that more here in the U.S. We haven't had Libre 800 greatly demanded here in the U.S. We've got a couple of opportunities we're working right now and hoping to get that out there more.
I'm sure you will. So before today, we're also going to see each other at Printing United, right? And
yes,
a lot of people are really anticipating Printing United as one of the really big shows coming back on in America. So you have equipment on the show floor, and what can people expect from Printing United from a technical perspective?
Yeah, we're looking forward to Printing United a lot. It's going to be our first Printing United because, of course, unless you count the virtual one back in 2020 that we did,
we don't.
because 2019, of course, there was a great Printing United in 2019, but at that point, we weren't quite ready to jump into the, what was at that time a new show.
Yeah.
So a couple of us went and visited the show just to get a feel for it and decide, this is somewhere we need to be. So we planned to be there in 2020, and then the world changed, of course. So we're looking forward to it this year. Going to Las Vegas, we've got some good stuff there. We're going to have a Revolution 50 line there with our 30-inch stacker, so we'll be able to stack some long applications. We're going to have sample rolls from our major printer partners to run during the show, so that'll be nice. You can see some output it's funny, you can see output in our booth, kind of being processed, where you can't actually see it in most of the partner booths because there aren't too many digital inkjet presses that'll be at the show.
No. Okay,
just because it's challenging, of course, to set those up.
So they would just send everybody who wants to see print sample, they just send them to your booth, basically.
Exactly. We'd be happy to show them some samples being run live, not printed live, but run live. So that's one thing we'll have on our booth is a Revolution 50 line. We're also going to have another system that I'm excited about. I've kind of had some of my focus here at the company. I deal with the whole product line, but some of my focus has been on the cut sheet side. And we've got solutions for sheet fed presses as well. And we're going to have our Stack 1212 system there, which is a system to handle B2 sheets.
Oh, B2.
Yeah, so the B2 sheets, there's a number, of course, of a B2 inkjet, and I shouldn't just say inkjet because, of course, HP's Indigos, 12,000, 100K, 15K family certainly are producing a.
And the new Ricoh Z75 is probably also starting.
Yes, exactly. We've been talking to Ricoh about the Z75 as well. So we're going to be processing some B2 sheets with our Stack 1212. It's a system I'm excited about because I think it kind of meets a need that's there in the marketplace. There's some other equipment out there that either it's on the lower end, of course, where it's not really meant for a production environment, somebody running a lot of stuff. And then there's very high-end stuff that's very expensive and does a great job and does it automatically, but is very expensive. So Stack 1212 kind of fits in as a production solution that puts in a smaller footprint and is not on that real top end of the price range. So we think it'll be a.
Yeah. So would you say that you have identified a sweet spot between the two things that you just spoke about? Productivity,
yeah, exactly.
Pricing. Okay. And,
exactly, we think so.
And what is? I mean, I know what Stack 1212 is, but is it like? Is it basically for? It's both for of course cut products, the trim product, but it's also for like book binding in if you want to have like book blocks that is utilized directly from a machine, right? Right.
You could certainly. We think that would be one market for sure. Is creating book blocks that can then be taken to an offline binding, nearline binding system. We also anticipate that postcards are going to be a big application for this. I don't know what it's like in Europe, but here in the United States, I get postcards in my mailbox. Seems like I get 3 or 4 every day. Advertising the latest gym membership or a real estate agent trying to sell a house. We get these postcards all the time, and so there's obviously a lot of that production going on for direct mailers and commercial printers. So we think that's going to be a big marketplace for it, and so to really play in that environment, we're also talking to coder manufacturers and thinking about how we might integrate this product with coders, so you can have your stuff produced on the press and then bring it to an offline system, run it through a coder and then into our cut stack, so you end up with the stack of cut postcards ready to go in the mail, cut and coded postcards. So kind of cool.
And it's funny you mentioned that because I did some interviews, I can't even remember right now where it was, but it was some direct mail companies in the US recently, and they said actually because the postage and because people want to save money, that postcards is basically really replacing a lot of the envelope products. So it probably makes a lot of sense that you are
absolutely, and of course and of course these days it's harder and harder. You know, a lot of folks are having trouble finding envelopes. When I get one of my billing statements from somebody I've been dealing with a long time in the mail, and it's in a brown craft envelope, and I'm thinking, geez, I've never seen these guys with this kind of envelope before. And then I'm thinking, oh, I know why they've got this kind of envelope. They're just looking for whatever they can find.
No, it's
so
because
postcards kind of solve that need.
It's because it looks more
Yeah.
environmental friendly. You know that, Scott.
Well, that could be too. That could be too.
Fantastic. So, what do you have planned for us today here at the finishing line?
So today I kind of just wanted to walk through a quick overview of we've got a couple of sort of fairly recent developments, one very recent development on the company, you know, us doing business side of things. And then kind of walk you through today. Of course, we're focusing on our sheet fed side, as I kind of mentioned earlier, kind of personally having some of that focus, but that's what our focus is going to be here with you today. And a quick overview of our products for our sheet fed environment, both for the B2 as well as the B3 world.
Nice.
And you know, of course, B3 has been a focus of the manufacturers for a while, and we've got products for that, and as well as B2. And I'd also like to, though I'm excited today, to unveil for the audience, whoever happens to be listening now and or in the future as they watch a recording, we're going to be showing a product this morning that we're about to issue a press release on, announcing its availability. So kind of exciting. The audience here will get a first look at something that we think will play well in that publishing environment, especially as we talk about it. So we think it's a product that might have some application, some appropriateness beyond publishing, but really we think publishing could be the best match. So that's what we're going to talk about a little bit this morning.
But it sounds like that you have prepped something where you basically give the teaser, so people have to see you doing the thing that you know about, and then they have to wait to the end to see something that is really new, right?
Exactly. Well, so I wanted to kind of do it that way. I didn't want to lead with the most exciting thing. Both kind of keep people engaged, but also because it's based on a couple of established products that I wanted to kind of get in first, so I kind of lay the groundwork. All right, this is where we're coming from. It is a new product, but it's not totally new technology. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. You know, something with enhanced capability, but on a firm foundation. So you're not maybe worrying about getting something that we're still working a ton of kinks out on when it goes out there, because it is based on some established technology. So we think it'll be a solid product.
That's okay, Scott. Don't worry. So you want to start with sharing your screen and run through it?
Yeah, I'll do that. Let's see if I can call this up here.
So I will see it here the moment you get it, so I can give you the full screen and yourself.
That's always tricky here with the difference. Let me see if I can. Let me cancel this. Let's try this a different way. Not that. Here we go.
But you look great for an early morning to be. I must say that.
Yeah, this is not my usual hour to get up, I will admit. So you got me up earlier today, Morten.
I got home from Chicago Friday, so I have no times that are for me right now.
There we go.
Right, I see it now.
Can you see my screen, hopefully?
Yeah, and I have you on screen and put you in the thumbnail, so you should be able to.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
All right, let me start the slideshow.
Do you want the thumbnail of yourself, or does that influence the presentation?
I'm fine either way. Whatever you think is best, Morten. I'll go with it.
Okay.
So.
But I will mute myself, and then I will listen, and then we can continue our chat when you're finished.
Yeah, and please, jump in at any point as I go through this. It's better if it's more fun if it's interactive. So. Okay,
but we can do it interactive if you want to. So I can just. I just see if I can figure out how to do this. That was not the right one here. It's always like, how can you? Okay, here we are.
Right,
take it away, my friend.
All right, all right, sounds good. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on some of these slides. This is TechNow. For those of you who don't know us, we've been around for a long time, 35 plus years. We've got manufacturing and engineering in Europe, both in Italy and Sweden, as well in the United States. and we cover the complete gamut of digital printing applications, commercial print, direct mail, publishing, transactional certainly was where our foundation was, but we've moved well beyond that. So that's a really brief overview of us. I wanted to kind of spend a little bit more time just kind of saying, come visit us. Here's our early in COVID. We opened up our new demo center in Ivrea, Italy, northern Italy, kind of not far away from Turin and from Milan. And as you can see there, we did a lot of demos there last year. That's last year's stat. I don't have one for this year, but I think it's basically continued along this year. We've got a broad, gamut of our equipment there. Certainly the Revolution 50 line. We've got a couple of those. One of them with our Stream Folder, which is a plow folding device, kind of with great applicability for the book market. We've got our zero-speed splicer Roll 40, which is a splicing unwinder and rewinder system. Really cool to see. As I said, a lot of our equipment is like watching grass grow. The splicer is another fun one to watch. We've got the Stack 1212, which is what I just was mentioning. That is going to be one of the highlights of our Printing United exhibition. We've got the Libre 800 that we talked about at Rotomail, and more. So we've got a lot of demo area there, and it's a great opportunity to see some demos both live as well as virtual. And the exciting kind of news, this is other news that I'm kind of passing your way, although it's maybe a little bit less exciting for most folks than a product introduction. But just as of Wednesday of last week, TechNow US has moved to a new headquarters, so kind of personally exciting for me anyway. And we moved to another space outside of Boston, in North Andover, Massachusetts. We've got a lot of demo space there as well. So that's really, for me, that's the exciting thing. For me as a marketing guy here, is we've got the ability now to do demos. So I went by last week and snapped some quick pictures. As you can see, the photo on the right is our new experience center, our new demo center. Now, as you can see, there's not a lot of equipment in there right now. That's because literally, again, we are just moving in. We just our first day in the new office was Wednesday of last week, but we'll be setting up multiple equipment lines there in our experience center, and showing folks kind of some of the latest and greatest of our equipment, and looking forward to doing a lot of demos there and making it kind of a better space than frankly we had at our past building for demoing equipment. So that's kind of a little quick overview of who we are and some of the things we're doing. Stack 1212 is where I wanted to start, kind of giving a very quick overview. Again, this is the system we'll be showing at Printing United as a solution for B2 sheets. So the actual spec is it's a little bit larger than B2 size, because of course a lot of folks want to do B2 plus some trim. So we can do up to a 21 by 29.5 inch size sheet, or 533 millimeters by 750 millimeters for the European audience. We can cut down to a output size of about 127 by 102 millimeters. So kind of a postcard size or so. A small postcard is really what typically you might think of as the smallest end that we go to. So we handle impositions. If you kind of do the math and divide up a sheet, that means we can do up to a 21 up imposition, 3 by 7. We handle basis weights up to 350 GSM. And it's a nice system for again handling B2 sheets in a good size footprint, and with the I kind of refer to this as using right size technology. We don't do automated job changes from one to another. We used to have a system that did that was kind of initially aimed at the Indigo 7000 family, and one thing we found was but a lot of folks were shut away from using it because the cost was pretty high for that automation. And so what we've done here is we've put some automation in, but we also do rely on operators, and it is operators, to do some job changeover work. So we've got a couple of cross-cutting cartridges Those pretty much stay in place most of the time. If you're moving to non-bleed applications, then you do need to make a quick change there. It's literally a 1 or 2 minute change. And then the one thing you might need to do more often is change this trimming cartridge in the lower right hand corner here,
So
as you
Scott,
see in yellow.
So when you talk about the cartridge, that is the knife that goes on the length direction, right?
Yeah, exactly. So those top two cartridges kind of go across the paper path. So what we do is like for a B2 sheet of 533 by 750, the max size, it'd be a 530 millimeter leading edge. Excuse me. We cut across that dimension with the cutting cartridges, and then we trim off the sides and put gutters in, along the length, along the 750 millimeter dimension, with this trimming cartridge in the lower section here.
Okay.
So when you need to move from one job to another, you might need to change some of these cartridges. You might not, depending on what the job change is. But if you do, it's a very quick and easy change. So this is kind of what we talk about as right size automation. We could automate that stuff totally as well, but it would add considerable cost.
Just one more question. So that, when you look at the PowerPoint, it seems that there's like 3 cartridges. Does that mean that you can basically bypass one of them, or do you have to take them out in order to if you don't want to utilize that particular trim cut?
So yeah, if for instance, if you have a cartridge in there that's putting in gutters, and then you want to move to some kind of large poster application where you don't need any gutters, potentially, then you would need to swap out that cartridge.
Okay.
If you're moving from forgive me for using U.S. imperial measurements here. If you're moving from like a 6x4 inch postcard to a 6x9 inch postcard, a couple of popular sizes here in the U.S., that's a change that wouldn't even require any cartridge change. So you are changing sizes, but you're really just changing the cut length. And for that, you don't need to change any cartridge. You just need to go on the user screen and pick a new job. So some changes don't even require the change. But just here's one of the big things to focus on with this product. So if you come away with a couple of takeaways about Stack 1212, here's one of them, that it's a very small footprint. Some of the other products out there in the marketplace have quite a large footprint. The Stack 1212, its total footprint is under 10 square meters, so it's not that big. Fits in a shop much more easily than some of the other equipment out there. So that's one takeaway. Here's just a quick overview. I'm kind of going on a little too quickly there. My screen
it
is.
happens.
Yeah. Hang on. Now I'm going all crazy here. There we go. That's just a quick example of a small postcard application. So it's something like an A5 application, or excuse me, A6. It's about an A6 size. Or here in the U.S. again, a 4x6 postcard. That's how we'd impose it. But here's, I wanted to kind of summarize the product a little bit here. It's a lower cost option out there. So that's again a big takeaway. So this is something that we try to again put the right amount of technology in to be able to get this into more shops and really do the job for customers who wouldn't be able to spend the money on a full-blown, totally automated, operator never needs to do anything but unload on the back end. Here we do rely on the operator to do certain tasks, which again makes it a more cost-effective solution. Again, it's got a small footprint, it's got an integrated stacker. One of the things our products is common for our products is we got a very user-friendly interface. We've been told that a number of times with a number of our products, including our Revolution 50 line as well that we were talking about earlier for a web-fed environment. So it's a very easy operator interface. It's a straight line system. It has very good tight cutting tolerance, as mentioned there. It supports an offline environment. And the other one thing I don't have on here, but I do want to mention, is this, as well as all the products I'm going to be talking about today, especially applicable on the sheet fed side, where sometimes customers might have systems that really aren't meant for a production environment. They're doing smaller volumes, and with our products though, if you're operating in a production environment, for instance, here with the Stack 1212, you're putting through a lot of B2 sheets every month. That's what our products are meant for. That's what Stack 1212 is meant for. You know, it likes a heavy workload. As I mentioned, a lot of this technology is based on our continuous web technology, like the Revolution 50, where obviously you're producing millions and millions of feet. So to come over to a sheet-fed environment, we have that similarly robust technology that'll operate in a big production environment. This is one of our early users here of the Stack 1212 Sidekicks in the Netherlands. They're a Dutch direct mailer. They got the Stack 1212 to process output from a KM1 from Konica Minolta. They handle 1 up to 12 up impositions. And we got a nice friendly quote there from the co-owner of the company talking about what a great achievement it's been and what a great job it's been for them. So kind of a nice story there.
That's easy selling stuff when you have your customers doing your work, Scott.
Absolutely. And of course we get a little more credibility. They've got a little more credibility than I do for some reason. So yes. And then that of course was a B2 solution. Here's kind of the little brother to the Stack 1212, the Stack 1010. Same basic job. Takes those large sheets and breaks them down into a final page size. So in this case, the large sheets are smaller than a B2. It's the B3 size that, or in the US, about 14 by 20, 13 by 19. So again, we'll take those large sheets and break them down into postcards or books and letters, etc. It's got that quick changeover functionality. We also, though, do something we didn't talk about in the B2 world. On the B3 world, we have a dynamic perf and punch capability. So here's our TC1530 dynamic perforator. Main thing to focus on here is in the lower right-hand corner. That's the kind of things we can do. It's bidirectional perfing, and we can, from page to page, change that perf pattern. You know, each page within a job we can move from one to the next with a totally different, or shut the perf off for a number of pages. So all in response to a 2D data matrix that's put on the sheet. We've also got capability on that unit to do creasing and scoring. So here we can put a crease or a score in there for whatever application you might want to do that with. So that kind of expands, especially certainly in a transactional environment. A lot of these play in a transactional environment. The great solution there, as well as, for instance, tear out workbook applications, so a publishing environment as well, or implants. Another feature again is dynamic punching. So we've got, and here is where I really like to focus on. This is a production solution. There's obviously other products out there that do hole punching, but if you do large volumes and you're looking for a really more automated solution that doesn't involve an operator kind of taking a stack and sticking it through, putting it through a drill, here's a nice environment to really, in a production way, produce calendar applications, workbook applications, etc. So this is that's part of our 1530 family. A couple of quick user stories here. Rubettino, a publisher and commercial printer in Italy, of course, where our headquarters is. A nice quote there from Marco Rubettino. They do kind of unique stuff. They do carbonless. They do kind of these tear-off booklets with carbonless paper, and they've used the 1530 to put the perfs in on that. 3MA Group is another customer, this one in France, and they work with the Xerox Brenva, so we have solutions to go inline with both Xerox Brenva and Baltoro, as well as the Canon I-Series and of course the newer IX. So and these guys particularly do school reports, kind of little fancier school reports than I used to get here in the U.S. But they put perfs in both directions again on the school reports, and it's allowed them to automate their operation and get some good volume out. And even, of course, one of our tagline is empowering digital print. A lot of times some of our products make it possible for customers to do things that they really couldn't do at least in an efficient way before. And I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the product that kind of was one of the first products I focused on when I joined TechNow, or at that time Roll Systems, many years ago. That's our sheet feeder. We've produced over 750 sheet feeders over the years for sheet-fed digital presses. So where it's basically a roll feed system. Of course, you kind of counterintuitive. Why would you need a roll feed on a cut sheet printer, or how even can you do a roll feed on a cut sheet printer? But what it is, of course, is unwinder into a cutter, and then the cutter feeds sheets on demand to the press. It creates real savings on paper, especially if you're doing non-commodity papers. I've got a customer example here coming up next, where it talks about how these guys have used it in a book environment to really save a lot of money on paper, and as well as make your people more efficient too, because now one operator can run 4 more roll-fed printers. It's basically like putting a 50,000 sheet tray at the front end of your sheet-fed printer, because it'll run for hours and hours out of that roll before you need to change the roll.
Scott,
So
that was the one that we saw in the Spring Forward last year with in the Xerox setup, wasn't it?
Yes, exactly. That's right, Morten. Yeah, exactly. We've got a sheet feeder on their Baltoro printer in the Gil Hatch Center here in the U.S. Yeah, and they showed we showed the sheet feeder at the front end of that press. So, yeah, pretty exciting. And here you can kind of see where it really makes sense. These guys, this is a U.S. customer in Phoenix, Arizona, who's got the VarioPrint 6250 and 6270, and they got the sheet feeder on the front end of it. And they're doing these odd-size sheets because they want to produce book pages with some trim, so they can do a 3-knife trim and end up with a finished 6x9 book. That, of course, entails a larger sheet size that's not a normal sheet size. And they'd pay a fortune if they had to get these sheets produced for them. Either they'd pay a fortune or they'd have to spend a lot of time on their own cutting them down. But in this case, they put these sheet feeders on. And
would they typically be a customer where you could imagine that they have some kind of cut stacker at the other end of the machine, or?
So many times they'll just, they won't have the automation on the back end. Sometimes they might have a booklet maker or some other, more automated system, but most of the time they'll just be running output to the press stackers.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah. But they'll get that savings on the front end and kind of make it so operators don't need to spend as much time loading and save money in paper.
Sure.
But this takes us to our exciting news, Morten. So
Can't wait.
this is Book Ready. So this is our new product, and it is based on. I wanted to go through the stuff we just went through because the Book Ready is based on our Stack 1010. So it's basically taking some of that technology and doing some other things with it, so that it, and frankly, I've kind of made a case for right-sized automation. We kind of took a look and said, all right, in a monochrome environment, where the trimming, the demands on the finishing, in a monochrome environment, of course, the VarioPrint 6000 Ultra family or VarioPrint 6000 Titan are monochrome printers, and some of the demands on finishing can be a little bit less because, of course, typically in a monochrome world, you're not doing bleed print, right? So some of the needs to trim off the edges, so that you end up with the final result is indeed a bleed printed sheet. The demands for that kind of thing in a monochrome environment are less. So we kind of took a look at it and said, for a book publisher who wants to be able to really, in an automated way, go from application to application, we can kind of give right-sized automation, which would allow them to move from one application to another without the operator touching it. So here, in that kind of environment, in a monochrome environment with book applications, we thought, we can really make this into something that would allow for a fully automated operation. In this case, behind the VarioPrint 6000 Titan, but certainly we're looking at doing that in other with other press manufacturers as well. So here's some of the quick changes from the Stack 1010. We've got a motorized alignment table. So, and we're going to show this in a video so folks can kind of see this in operation. But just a quick summary: we've got a motorized alignment table, so we can change that input sheet size automatically. In the Stack 1010 world, you need to make a little adjustment there, but here you don't need to. We've got we'll develop interfaces with any presses that we're going in line with. So that of course doesn't help you entirely if you have all this automated technology, but then meanwhile you have to tell the unit what job you're doing. Here we'll obviously develop that software interface with the printer to be able to get the job information to tell the system what sized input sheet we've got and where we need to put the cuts in it. So again, that single crosscut activation via the software interface. The central knife. So again, typically we don't need to do gutters, of course, in a monochrome world because we're not again trying to create that bleed print. So with that central slit, we're able to basically think of a scissors, a pair of scissors where you're you can pull the two blades apart. And of course, if there's two blades there that aren't doing that sort of scissoring action, then they're not cutting into the sheet. So we can just pull those two blades, top and bottom, above and below the sheet, and pull them apart so we're not cutting it if that's what the job calls for, or of course engage them together when we do need to put in that central slit. And then of course the stacker adjusts to the different lengths as well. It's got a compact layout, so compared to the Stack 1010, it's got a little bit shorter footprint, which is another thing we kind of aimed at. Here you can see the whole thing can be fit in 3.1 meters. Here's some of the applications. So just taking an A4 sheet and now an A4 sheet short edge feed where we're running the sheet in and just putting that single cross cut. Of course, the more effective way to run an A4 sheet is with the long edge feed. And here we'll take a center slit and make that divide that sheet in half. If of course we can divide that sheet in half, and now we're creating a book of two. So on the top scenario, we're creating a single copy book, as many of our customers need the technology to handle. With the scenario 2, where we're doing the more press efficient long edge feed, we do need to create a book of 2, but there's going to be a little bit more on that I'll talk about in a minute. Here we're kind of taking larger sheets, A3s, and dividing them up into various fashions to again create larger or smaller books. We have just come up with, as we're just about to introduce this product, we've just come out with an added rotator module. So we're going back to that scenario 2 where we had to create the book of 2. We've added a rotator module in where we take that sheet, we rotate it, and now we can, you can run it through the press in the effective long edge feed, rotate it, so we're basically now able to put a center cut across the paper path, and now you can get down to that book of 1, which is the key factor here for the rotator, is that you can make for the A4, or in the US, a letter size, 8.5 by 11, 9 by 12, you can divide it in half and get that book of 1. Which is
just a question, Scott, because when you talk about the long edge and the short edge feeding, does that give any issues in relation to grain direction, or is it more like a decision you make from a printer's perspective?
Of course, with the rotator, Morten, the beauty here is that you can deal with the grain direction either way. So so it does kind of help in that grain direction issue.
So that basically means that when you order your paper in sheet, you basically just order with the grain direction according to what binding you want to utilize them.
That's right. Yeah. Exactly. You choose your width of your roll, the width of the sheet. Run the width of the sheet, in whatever way you want to run it. You get the appropriate grain direction, and then we can adjust the way you process that sheet most effectively.
Perfect.
So if I think you've got the video.
I got the video. So let's do it.
All right, sounds good. Yeah,
as,
so that's book ready, and as I
as
say, we're kind of excited. We think it'll be a great solution for book customers running large volumes with the VarioPrint 6000 Ultra family, or with other, possibly in the future with other sheet-fed presses as well. So,
as I said to you just when we were running the video, it was amazing to see the turning station, because basically you have the same speed as the machine operates at, and then you can have substrates that have very thin paper and very thick paper, and it just turned without damaging the paper. That's pretty amazing.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, and I'll say that certainly running at speed, as I mentioned there briefly, is something, we get asked a lot of time with our sheet feeder product on the front end of the press, as well as with the per or the cut and stack on the back end. All of these products run at the same speed as the press.
Yeah.
So if you put any of this stuff on a sheet fed press and you're wondering, well, is that going to slow things down? Am I need to operate at a slower speed? Is my productivity going to go down? No, your productivity is not going to go down. It's going to run just as fast as it did before. So.
All right. I think that was good news for those watching, and I'm sure that you will get the message out to all the media and to all your customers. And
absolutely. I think you'll be seeing a press release come your way here in the next couple of days, Morten, where Joe's getting something ready for you.
Fantastic. Scott, I think it's a great walkthrough of the products you show. Can I ask you a question, just because I was a little bit curious here? So if you
Sure.
look at how you see the market as being in the US, would you say that are you I don't know how to phrase it in a way that doesn't sound wrong, but I just phrase it and just don't misunderstand.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah, I was just wondering, do you drive the market, or are you driven by the market?
Well, that's a good question, Morten. I mean, what we like to do, if things are working right for us, we're dealing with the press operators, or the press vendors.
Yeah.
And we are kind of relying on those guys to a lot of our development is driven by what they're making possible, to be honest. So if they're running at higher speeds, as they're sort of being able to run heavier papers, some of the presses are now looking to go beyond 300 GSM up to 350 GSM or even 400 GSM, as they're enabling those kind of papers and the kind of applications that run on those papers. Hopefully we're working hand in glove with those guys. So as they're coming out with that press technology, we're coming out with the corresponding finishing technology that'll allow customers to take full advantage of what that press is enabling.
Okay, so let me ask you in a different way. It's because, if you look at let me tell you a little story, a very short one, I promise you.
Sure. Okay.
I was before I got into the industry, and I saw, for example, the Scodex embellishment machines and all this wonderful digital thing. I thought it was kind of funny because all of them were just replicating good old analog technologies that you could do in any other way, right? And it's kind of similar to when you look at the digital binding space, right? I was just wondering, sometimes, do you also think there's room for innovating totally new ways of doing binding? If you look at some of the old Japanese binding, French binding, where you have all those kind of things, is that something that is also on the agenda when we talk the big finishing companies?
Yes, certainly, and binding is a good way to answer that question. Of course, a lot of our technology, plays in different environments where we're not really doing binding, in a direct mail environment or a transactional world. But of course, when we are looking at binding for publishers or commercial printers that are getting into publishing or booklet application, binding, of course, comes into it. And the Libre 800 is a good example of a system that's really been developed not to just churn out the latest Harry Potter book, where there's going to be millions and millions and millions of these books produced, because frankly, you wouldn't use Libre 800 to do that kind of thing. It would be, it's more appropriate.
Yeah, there are vendors that have specialized in larger runs, basically. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So, but the nice thing about Libre 800, for instance, and really it is special to a digital world, is it allows you to produce book of one, single copy books. We've got a customer who their average run of books is 1.7 copies. So
I'm wondering what the 0.7
that's a different
is.
world, right?
I'm wondering what the 0.7 is. Maybe that's
Well, I don't know what the 0.7 is. I don't know. You're a funny customer if you want 0.7 of a book, I guess, right? But yeah, it's operating that kind of world where you're running very small volumes, and you need a special system to do that. And that's not the kind of system that operates, as I say, to produce the latest Harry Potter book. And so Libre 800 is an example of something that's really been developed for some of the, what's been enabled by the presses, the presses that can run, a book at a time. And okay, you can run a book at a time, but if you're looking for your finishing equipment to be a finishing line that's appropriate for Harry Potter, well then you're not doing so well. But Libre 800 is really meant to be able to operate in that very small, short run, single copy book environment. And some of our other equipment kind of operates in that avenue as well.
And it's kind of funny that you say this, because just a few weeks ago I was with the German printing company Saxo Print, which is like a huge online printer here, and they seem to have still a very dedicated philosophy on using offset presses. They have some HP equipment as well, but the funny thing was that you think of the offset presses as kind of, I wouldn't say old school because they are not, but I would say that if everybody was running for print of one, you have to cope with the speed of whatever digital equipment you can.
Right.
But if you look at it, I mean, they had like 20 offset presses, right? And they have automatic blade change, and basically you look at it, they probably run about 36,000 A4 pages an hour. The reason why I'm saying this is just because when you go back to your R&D now, you just tell them, okay, make some digital equipment that can bind 36,000 sheets an hour into something that's finished. Because I mean, basically, we talk about the digital transformation going from offset to digital, but I mean, there's still a huge gap what is possible both on the OEM side and on the binding side, right? So there is probably room for even more in the future, right?
Yeah, no, I'm sure you're right.
Just a little anecdote, but I just think it was fun because, I think, in my opinion, a lot of, of course, different because you have served the transactional and transpromo market for years, but if you look at, I think a lot of the, let's say, the smaller toner-based printers, they have probably not been used very much for variable data. They've probably just been used for short runs, right? So,
yeah.
Well, that was
Right.
that was just like my little 5 cents here. Sorry to
No, that's all right.
Okay. Scott,
that's all right. Appreciate your perspective.
Scott, I think it's been a wonderful presentation. I really appreciate your time here, and just want to say thank you for getting up early, and thank you for participating here.
Happy
in
to do it.
Finishing line. And tomorrow, I have the pleasure of your colleagues on Commercial Web.
Right, exactly. I wanted to make sure people were aware of that. Exactly, Morten. That tomorrow, our folks going to be on with you as well, and we'll be talking about the website, talking about Revolution 50 and some of our other products on the web environment. So yeah, folks should definitely check that out as well. And I just wanted folks also to be aware. We've talked about Printing United, of course. We've got a number of shows that are happening in Europe here the next couple of days as well. So I just want folks to know that they can see us. For instance, Canon. We've got the Canon Make It show in Poing that's going on right now, and we're there with the Revolution 50 line. We're going to be next week at Horizon in Germany.
I will be there too.
At the German office with a. Okay, well there you go. So you'll see us there as well, Morten, with a stack line that's connected to a pick and place robot. So some cool technology being shown there. We're going to be at the Zycon Cafe in Belgium in early October, as well as, of course, the Printing United show. So folks should lots of places to see us and catch up with us.
So one question in that relation: do you have like a show department that never works but just participate in shows, or?
Yeah, well, the show department has to do a lot of other things as well. You're looking at a large part of the show department right here, at least as far as the Americas go. And yes.
I look forward to see you soon, Scott. Thank you for your time and all the best. And thank you for the audience. And remember, it will be available on English for later views, probably already at the end of the day. So
Very
stay
good.
tuned.
Thanks,
and
Martin.
see you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye-bye.